Alrighty, it is time for another A Link to the Past No Major Glitches tournament match here on ZeldaSpeedRuns. This is a winner's bracket round 5 match between Chexhuman and AceZer0. The commentators are Clearmouse and Misanthropic Buddha, and you two can take it from here.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to, if I did my math right, the 34th match in the winner's bracket here. As already mentioned, AceZer0 taking on Chexhuman. And so... Never mind. You talk for a second, Clearmouse. I just lost all train of thought.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. This is actually going to be a really exciting match for the winners bracket round 5. All right, so no one between anyone in this entire tournament is going to feel this more so than AceZer0, who has almost probably like one of the best stories, because he started out round 1 of winners. He battled through Scarlet Sisters, Liam Atlas, my co-commentator, Buddha, and Matt to get to where he is on the 5th match of Winner's Bracket to face Chex. I mean, so Matt is definitely on a hot streak. He should be very well practiced for this race.
Okay, 2 things. 1, that was hurtful.
I'm sorry.
2,
I'm sorry, no.
2, don't be. But 2, you're correct. He has busted pretty much every bracket, I believe. And I think from what I remember hearing, including his own. But of course, what is interesting to note, though, about at least AceZer0 here is the fact that he's had 7 races. He's managed to have a 1:29.40 as an average tournament time. And then what's also nice about that, too, is all of his time, because I did all the math for it because I'm bored. He's improved every race, I think, except for one where he was maybe 30 seconds over his previous race. So he's improved steadily. So he's not really caved into any pressure or anything like that. Whereas for Chex here, Chex, of course, he went 2-1 in the group stages. This is his first race as we get underway, as they get the telepathic message. This will be his first race here in the brackets. He 1:27.48 for his 3 races in the group stages. And both of them, by the way, actually have some fake news there in SRC. Because Ace he posts a 1:29.34, but he actually recently got a 1:28.35. Whereas Chex, he posted a 1:26.06, but just last night, he got a 1:25.56. So... But even though there's that large difference in PBs, this still really can be anyone's race, as Ace has clearly shown.
Oh yeah. And in fact, you mentioned Ace has about right around average of like a 1:28. Chex is probably, at least in the group stages, is also very close to that, like around his average time. So, and as we've seen in past tournament races, lots of things can go unexpectedly that can end up costing frames, seconds, or up to minutes worth of time that you were not expecting to kind of incur. So one mishap for either of these runners, and it's definitely going to be very tense.
Right, of course, because this is definitely one of those. Like I think with any. Yeah, so Doomtap's correct. No upsets ever happen. He's absolutely right. Everything is always chalk. But now, hold on. I got to get my commentary hat off for a moment. As I have warned and threatened, and I've said many times, I don't like either of these people. So for Chex, the reason for him is that I passed him in the SRC leaderboard when I got my 1:27, and of course he doesn't play it because I don't think he ever plays this game without glitches, so this is surprising to me. And then he goes ahead and PBs 3 or 4 times since then, whereas I have not. Whereas for Ace, as you had to bring up, he beat me. So I hate both of them. I'm hoping they both lose somehow. Not quite sure how that's possible, but that's what I want to happen. And okay, I'm done with it.
All right, no, I'm glad we got we got everything out up front, right? There's gonna be no hidden agendas here.
Correct.
Yeah, and in fact, so actually Chex, right, recently, PB'd like 3 or 4 times, right? So he actually PB'd 1:26.06, like a 26-second PB, actually in the NMG Weekly. right? And so that was on Sunday, and they had already scheduled the race to be on tonight, Tuesday. So there's one more night, and Chex is like, oh, like after the PB, right? There's like the run after that is always going to be trash. So let me just get that out of the way, so we can race well on tonight. And what does he do? He just goes and gets another 10-second PB and breaks the 125 barrier. So clearly, by that trend, he's going to PB tonight, right?
I mean, the logic is he's going to get world record by the end of the tournament.
Okay, all right, that totally makes sense. I understand. I do enjoy the extrapolation. Yes.
I mean, that is how the logic works. But back to it though, Ace having a little bit of trouble with the 8/, whereas Chex was able to get it. Also, shout out to Kwaski with a tier 3 sub with the message, "Wowzers, is this Zelda? What a cool cat!" Thank you so much, Kwaski, for the tier 3 sub. Really helps the Steam. And so both are now making their way through escape here. So of course, though, as much as I may be joking about with Chex here, because Chex...
You were joking? Okay, I got it.
Look, I need to make sure I don't get banned from anything,
okay.
So I gotta say it in public. It was all a joke. There's a kappa on the end of all of it. It was implied. I felt like I didn't need to say it, but fine. But of course, Chex, though... as I always joke with him in his chat, this isn't really his forte because he always does those. He mainly does those rando glitches where he feels the need to, as I always say, he's got to cheat in order to beat a seed. So like I said, the fact that he'll be doing this without doing any VRAM setups or any honk punches or anything like that is always interesting to see from him. Whereas for Ace... he's been improving, he's getting better. But, of course, the big difference, though, now that I'm looking at it, I didn't realize this. Chex is on console, Ace is on emulator. I mean, that really could mean nothing, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to only assume that these guys have... Chex has always just been on console, and Ace has always been on emulator. I mean, whatever they're used to, right? It's definitely going to be what you're going to do in a race setting like this. You definitely don't want anything... Everything that you can control is definitely going to be up to your comfort level. So then that's anything you can do to control your tilt, right? Or control anything that goes unexpectedly.
Right, because as you mentioned before, that the many unexpected things can happen because of how optimized this run is, and just how in theory how perfect execution needs to be for every room. And again, this is one of those games where something that can save 5 frames or you lose 10 seconds is kind of all the difference here. And so it's going to be who can have the least worst race, not who can have the best one.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
And of course, for those of you who are not familiar with the bracket, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there now. Winner gets Eri. So for those of you who don't know, number 1 seed overall. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. And now so Chex has now just gotten out of escape, no rat frames. Ace also no rat frames, but he just also gets out of escape.
Yeah, and to talk about stuff that can go unexpected. So Ace trying to get out of escape did not have great Green Guard RNG, had to kind of like boomerang some of them, ended up getting hit a couple times. Also with the rats, the key rat ended up going pretty far north. It's just little, it doesn't cost a lot of time, but just little things here and there can definitely add up, right? And that definitely contributed to Ace kind of being slightly behind Chex getting out of escape.
Yeah, there's, of course, like with any speed run or any game, there's always RNG. And of course, like what you just said, there are little things that you can do with the RNG, or you can do to react to the RNG, and it doesn't look like a lot of time loss. However, if this happens 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20 times in a run, that time adds up after a while. So that'll be, of course, something to look out for. Of course, the Octorok field, always a fun time. Chex grabbing the 5er. And so then they're both making their way to the Eastern. Ace had a little bit of a cleaner path there.
Yeah, opting to not boomerang the 5 rupees. He ended up getting at least some good rupee luck, I think, earlier out of the rats from escape. So he's not even picking up the red rupee from the Octorok. Man, he is really saving these frames here. Of course, the red rupee is totally optional. He's already got his requisite 6 rupees in this case, so he should be set for the run. But if there's any extra money that kind of happens upon you in your path, it's always going to be a little bit nicer because you don't have to worry about money. I guess like slightly later in the run.
Yeah, at least from my experience from doing this, it always feels like a huge time difference between when you have to do the first tree pull, a big time difference between having to grab the 4th blue rupee and skipping it, just because of the amount of lag that seems to happen. So, yeah, so it's a shame that he passed last, he didn't get to the red rupee, but there'll be other opportunities. Good Stalfos room though. But for those of you not familiar, as you see here on Ace's screen, just you trigger the Stalfos in 2 locations. You can chuck the pot and get them early, and so that's that's one of the nice little tricks to save time as they are coming up to in 3 or 4 rooms or so is going to be the next trick, which is going to be the damage boost to the big key.
Yeah, and if you ever kind of play this game casually, opting to versus kind of seeing what people do here in a speedrun, it's a pretty different experience, right? Casually, you probably just kind of wander into that Stalfos room, right? And probably 3 or 4 of them are going to spawn. You're going to try and chase them down all over the room. Similarly, just like what Chex is going to come up here in a second, or 5, 6, something. So it's also another kill room. You have to go chase the popos all around, and once you kill them, the anti-fairies disperse, and to avoid them is actually quite hectic. And not to mention they also do a heart of damage apiece. So the fact that we can actually just use the popo to damage boost, you see on Chex and Ace, very nicely done on both sides. They can only just take, in this case, a heart of damage, hit the switch with their iframes, and then just pick up the key with no worries.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really into these types of games casually. This game, to me, at least when I remember playing it as a kid, was a nightmare for me casually.
A nightmare? What? This is like one of the most well acclaimed games of history for SNES.
So is Super Metroid, but I've never played that either.
All right, that is actually fair.
So now Chex got through the pots room as Ace is now making away. Had a little trouble there with Gifted with Greenies, but that's okay. And you'll see that Ace is doing pretty solid there in pot room as well. Of course, everyone loves Zelda Gamer Room, a classic amongst all the runners. Chex seemed to handle it really, really well. Let's see how Ace tackles it. Chex a little early with the spin, but managed to recover. No real problems.
Money drops, too.
All right, so we got all the drops pretty much, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Ace unfortunately became a victim. Oh no, Ace becoming a victim of ZGR. Having trouble.
He does get the 5 arrow drop though, which is definitely going to be a little bit nicer. Does not get the second one, so. If you've seen speedruns of this before, you know that runners very, very much care about the arrow count throughout the race.
Yes, yeah, because it's a very big deal at several points in this race or in a run. But even though Ace had a little trouble there in ZGR, managed to clean up with that Armos fight, so that's good. So as already mentioned by Mouse here, so we have 8 arrows versus 4 arrows. Chex and Zero, or Chex and Ace, and then of course Chex has 20 more rupees as well. So, but that shouldn't be a big deal going forward.
Yeah, of course. Right on Chex's side, we see the reason why we call this a speed run. After 11 minutes, we get the prize for our Pendant of Courage. To Hashula, we get the boots. This is going to allow us to go super fast, as Chex is going to demonstrate right now with some spit speed.
Now, I am curious, though, what Ace is going to do, whether or not he's going to get the boots and go, or he's going to go get what we call the Saha rupees. And let's see. All right, he's going to go get them. So what Ace is doing here is he's going to go ahead and grab himself 100 rupees and some extra bombs. And so what this does is he doesn't have to worry about his bomb count as much, because that's arguably almost more important, in my opinion, than the arrow count. And then also, he doesn't have to worry about doing tree pulls later after Agate Tower. So again, it looks like now that Ace is really far behind, but that's not necessarily the case, because he'll be able to catch up, as you'll see after Hera.
Yeah, and speaking of Saha rupees, right? So it's certainly not as fast as going to do true rupees as we're going to see checks do in a bit. But it also gives you, as you said, a good peace of mind. You don't have to worry about rupees. He's already got 110, which is what we need for Palace of Darkness. And he's got 3 extra bombs to use at his disposal. And you actually do make a pretty good point. You know, everyone cares about arrows mainly because they don't want to lose time, right? But at the end of the day, you know, if you have arrows, or sorry, if you don't have arrows, you know, you do have a sword, or probably, you know, like a master sword or something. You can always go kill something, and it'll just, you know, just cost you a bit more time. If you don't have bombs in the right places, Ice Palace, Mire, you know, if you end up, something doesn't go right with one of your bomb jumps in Palace of Darkness, you are really sorry and out of luck. You need to go find some more.
Right. There is of course an opportunity for them to pick, like if Ace didn't grab the Saha bombs, there is a chance that you can actually pick up some bombs along the way for a slight time loss throughout the run, but it's not that many opportunities though. And so far, Chex looked like he had a pretty solid overworld as he makes his way into desert. Ace, not too far behind him, but he's, you know, making his way. Hasn't taken any damage, which is always a good sign.
Yeah, all these dash lines are looking pretty clean. Of course, you know, with a great speed comes a great need for control. The only time really that we want to see bonks is, you know, getting the book off the library and getting this key off the torch. Of course, we only want to bonk exactly once against the wall. Certainly not uncommon that you have to bonk more than once, just because the first bonk didn't seem to register.
Yeah, it's always a little. It's just a very slight thing about if you're essentially a pixel or 2 off, that yeah, you won't be able to get it. Now, of course, Check's making his way here to go get the big key in the. Oh, okay. Ace took a slightly different path there. Took a harder damage, but that's okay. So we'll see how the RNG treats Chex. He gets a clean run.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice clean run through the cannonball room, so that's good for him. Let's see if Ace can get the key in one go. He gets a small key in one go, so that's good. So now he'll be making his way. So pretty much, if they were playing in the same palace, they would literally be crossing. They'd be crossing each other right now, as you can kind of see how it's synced up a little bit. Now, if they didn't have enough rupees, good news. After that 5 piece, that top or that right pot, there was a 5 rupee in there, so they could have got some more if need be. Ace, unfortunately, did not get the good RNG, and he bonks, but still gets the big key, but doesn't take damage, and that's all that we could ever ask for.
Yeah, and you know, and health is not something that you just kind of set aside, right? So we actually did see 6 minutes in, both runners ended up picking up the Sanctuary Heart. You know, this is very, very common, especially for runners at this level. I think probably only a handful of people skip Sank Heart, you know, at kind of like the 123, 124 level. But you know, especially in a race setting, right? Taking that extra heart of buffer. Right? Oh no, are those arrows gonna still be there for Ace when he comes out?
I honestly don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yes is the answer.
Okay, that's good. Because yeah, he doesn't pick up the pot. I think he moved over to, and he thought he got the arrows, but oh man, I would have been really sad if he just disappeared.
Unfortunately, I don't know all the rooms. I don't know which rooms will keep stuff, whereas other ones will disappear. I still don't know that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but just to finish up the thought, you know, so Ace right now has 4 hearts, you know, going into Chex has full health going into land mode. This, you can still have to be a little bit careful to, you know, not get hit by land mode, right? Because this is one of the most challenging bosses, especially in light worlds. You're trying to kill land mode as fast as you can with the bow, which is not an easy feat. And land mode himself does damage, right? 1 heart hit from the worm and half a heart from the projectile. So your health can actually go down pretty quickly, and it's certainly not unheard of that people die to land mode here.
Oh no, absolutely not. People have died. Many have died to Lamo, and also take an excruciating amount of time. Chex had a good opening. Unfortunately, well, he got 1 worm. Unfortunately, he didn't do well. We couldn't get much on the second one.
Yeah, that third Lamo also just had like a very, very small short hop in the first one, so it's really unfortunate.
Of course, any and all runners love the short hop. It's an amazing thing. We all love it so much. Chex with the 4 cycle. He gets the blue one. Let's see here.
Yeah, you saw that both Chex and Ace, bonk the wall to get like a nice setup. So I think it's like something like 24 different setups, but at least it's predictable in the first cycle. So you always want to try and get at least 2 arrows in the first cycle. But after that, it is your gamer skills and reacting to the rest of the worms.
Right. And so Ace, I think Ace is going to be. I wasn't counting, but I think that's 4 for him as well.
Okay, it was 4 or 5. You're right. I'd also lost count.
Yeah. Yeah, he's more aggressive using the sword than what I'm used to seeing from other runners, but I mean it works, so that's not bad. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, and the tricky part, of course, with arrows, if you ever tried this, is once you kind of put an arrow in flight, you can't really put another arrow in flight until after. So like once you mess up the timing for the first one, like the rest of them, it's just gonna be really really hard to catch up. So you have to take a lot of discipline. But of course, with the sword, it's somewhat free, right? Even though it does is half of as much for the damage as a regular arrow.
Right, and of course, as y'all saw, Chex managed to pull off the fake flipper, which allows him to have all the abilities of swimming with none of the actual flippers. As he makes his way now to save the old man. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, you're talking about Chex, being very well versed in the glitches. This unfortunately is no major glitches, but, good to see that Chex is still able to pull out the minor glitches as well.
I mean, if it was him, to be fair, he would try just water walking because he's that type of person. I completely missed it because I was looking at the fake flippers. I didn't realize that Ace actually took a heart of damage, which isn't great, especially because of what's about to come. As Chex sees is everyone's favorite. It's Death Mountain. So Death Mountain's one of those places where you can just straight up do nothing wrong and be down to 2 hearts by the end of this. So we'll see how Chex manages here. So he got through the first gamut of boulders, or cabbages as we call them.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Just barely
Wow.
that falling boulder. Wow, Chex.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's gonna hopefully go into Hera here with a full health, taking solace inside the tower from all of these dead rocks and boulders.
He's only got one thing left to worry about. Is there is a nice menu. There's wonderful little dead rock, possibly waiting, but no, dead rock is being kind.
He moves right out of the way. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely have some nice
and
environment.
Ace, oh Jesus H. Okay, so Ace got by the first set there. Unfortunately. He's a victim of the boulder.
Unfortunately, not getting specific. And so this is a great demonstration of you trying to do something and just move, and the boulders are just not going to cooperate with you.
No, not at all. And so that is the unfortunate. That's Death Mountain. It's just Death Mountain. It's really nothing else to say.
Yeah, and of course, Ace is gonna make it to tower. He's got still, a good amount of health. He is at a deficit, but there are plenty of parts that he can always pick up, and especially in a race setting, right? One of the most important things you don't want to have happen is to not die. So certainly would not be surprised to see Ace hit the safety switch before he goes up and climbs the tower to kill Moldor.
Yeah, the safety switch, for those of you not familiar, it does allow that one area right before Moldorm where there's a bunch of pots. All of them have hearts underneath all of them, and so it's a little time loss, but nothing too severe. Ace getting hit by the gatekeeper as always, unfortunately, as most of us do, and so he only has 2 hearts left. But really the big thing is to make sure that he can get through this bottom area, because if he doesn't get out of the basement, this is going to be a really, really, really really bad time loss. There's Chex now making his way to the top, and he's about to go through beetles.
Yeah. So you do the... Oh, almost missed the fast strat. So what ideally would like to happen is you slash that first beetle, and then on the ricochet, with your sword still struck out, you're able to hit that switch alongside. Looks like you didn't quite get the trajectory in this case, but certainly not a big deal. And that was a safety switch that Chex just ended up passing by. So he's got 5 hearts. He's healing, pretty confident. Of course, Moldorm is a big source of RNG, but at this point, most runners don't tend to hit that switch when they have this much health.
And of course, as you see Chex there doing one of the big time saves in this particular dungeon is the Hera bomb jump. And so normally you would have to go up to the next floor, hit some switches, and go down back to the 4th floor, whereas he skipped all of that, and then also gets bumper skip, so that saves a little bit of time as well, as he just passes those pots that have the hearts in them, as mentioned earlier. All right, so as Mouse mentioned, this fight's this fight's terrible.
That's a really nice way of putting it.
the worms really enjoy killing the runs. So, oh, not having the great pattern there is Moldorm was deciding to hang out there on the left.
He's also just like on the left side, right? You can't even like dash kill or like dash into him and try and kill. Oh wow, Chex.
Okay, so Chex is being an animal, but that's fine. Whatever, you beat him. That's all that matters. And let's see then how. Okay, so yep, as kind of predicted there, Ace got himself a couple hearts for safety. Just a reminder, Moldorm does 1 heart of damage no matter where you touch him. But also kind of the good news, or not, I don't know if it's good news or not, but of course the interesting part is you can actually walk through Moldorm at times, because I believe it's you have to hit the tail, and of course his head is the hitbox, or head is a hitbox. So far, Ace looking like a pretty... Okay.
Yeah, Ace is handling this Moldorm fight really well.
He's getting okay. That was actually a really good fight.
Yeah. Yeah, as you certainly see, there are different kind of approaches. Ace was trying to read the RNG, pretty well from the tail, and then when applicable, where he tried to kind of like dash into it, get himself a little bit of safety and room. So that was actually a really well handled Moldorm fight.
Right, and so as you just saw there, oh, missed the pickle, but so this is now where we get to see the divergence, whereas you saw as Chex came off of Death Mountain, went ahead and thank you, Chex, for putting a pickle in chat. That as he went ahead and had to pull the tree, he only took 2 blue rubies instead of all of them because he doesn't need all of them. And now he's going to go ahead, and at 23:57, he has pulled the Master Sword. So that's good for him. And then Ace has managed to get off of Death Mountain as well. But so now, as you'll notice with him, don't have to worry about the tree. Don't have to worry about any of that. You can just peruse on like normal.
Yeah, so of course, early game in Light World, we always want to keep full health. Especially now we've got the Master Sword. Keeping sword beams would be super great for the first couple set of rooms in Akanom's Tower. But of course, on Chex's side though, it's also very important that between the blue tree pull and what he's going to do soon and kill 4 enemies, and the red rupee tree pull, he cannot take any damage, because if he takes damage, then all the tree pulls are going to reset. And then he's going to do some backup, and it's going to cost him a good amount of seconds. But luckily, he doesn't take any damage. Dashing through those bushes are surprisingly dangerous. There are bush bombs. There are bush guards that can just really mess up your run.
But yeah, like you just mentioned, no worry about it. He was able to get out of the woods, pretty much scot-free there. And so we'll see as now he makes his way to Aga Tower. And yeah, of course, there is the backup. All right, nice bonk. There is the backup strat, if need be, where you could, you have kill X number of enemies. I already forgot how many. And then on the right-hand side here of the tree, there's the tree there that will allow you to get backup rupees. No, all right, so both, of course, are skipping the mushroom. So, of course, the mushroom allows to either for you to get actual powder or allow you to fake powder, but neither are going to go down that route. So.
Yeah, I have definitely not seen Chex pick it up in his runs. I'm not actually sure if Ace has normally done that. For PB attempts, it's certainly not common to see that, especially at their level. But of course, for a race, right? You don't want to die. And picking up that mushroom, it's actually pretty. It's pretty low cost, right? For the potential safety you could get later on when you're facing dungeons that can safely take away a bunch more of your health.
Well, it's one of those things where it's not a big time loss now when you get it, but actually having to use it, nice chest turn, but actually having to use it is a big time loss given the situation, because you have to run out of magic, then you got to use the red cane, then you have to menu. It's a whole big to do. So it can be a bother, but well, we'll just see how that plays out, if anything. Ace having a little trouble the first room, managed to get through there as Ace.
Oh no! Oh, no! Oh,
okay.
Okay. Oh.
So the heart popping up is not great. So unfortunately,
it's not bad necessarily, but yes, it is not great.
Yeah, we'll know what the kind of, I don't know if it's good news or not. We'll kind of know the answer at Pod when he takes out the mini Helma before the Hammer Yump.
Yeah. So one of the biggest reasons why we want to keep Sorbing, especially for that second room, is it makes the dash kill of those blue guards significantly easier, right? So I think on Chex's side, he is potentially going to get a fairy potentially in Turtle Rock because he beamed the guards the first hit, and then he dash killed them. Whereas that's what Ace tried to do, and unfortunately, I think he ended up clinking some and then taking some damage and not ended up killing them. And so the reason why we want to dash kill guards is that if we dash kill something, it doesn't advance the price pack. And blue guards, Mini Helmosaur, which is from Fountain Pod, and Pokies all share the same price pack. So the fact that we saw the heart drop from the guard means that the price pack has advanced the heart, and the next one we want to keep, at least for Turtle Rock, is going to be the fairy. Right, so the fact that we saw the heart drop on Ace's side isn't necessarily a bad thing because it's still a 50-50 chance that the fairy won't drop in pod, but it's always kind of a nice, like, it's definitely a comfort, right, to not see that heart here in Aga Tower.
Right, of course. So now this one here, there is nothing you can do about this RNG for Chex. It is just hope for the best, keep the numbers low, as Ace having some trouble, but he managed to get through that final room there before he makes his approach into Aga Tower. So as you can see, even though they both took divergent paths, they're still pretty close to each other. So it's nice that they've kind of gotten back together. Chex, I believe, is already on 2 blue balls, so that's great. By great, I mean terrible.
Yeah. I think Chex is also, he holds the record, I think, at least for this tournament, having 11 blue balls in one of his runs.
Well, Mazel Tov. Good for him.
Yeah. I'm not sure he quite sees it that way.
He knows that's how I see it in my heart.
Oh, okay.
So I think he's now on 4, I believe, which isn't great because now he's guaranteed to get a second cycle of lightning. I think he's at 5.
Yeah, so far I don't think I saw anything on AceZero's side.
No, I haven't either. Keep an eye on Chex, then I'll just keep an eye on Ace.
Oh, okay, alright.
Okay, so Ace just got his first.
Yeah, and unfortunately, okay, so there's another one for Chex. So he's on 6 now. Okay, alright, so that's not too bad. So Chex is at least going to enter in Dark World. Not the number of blue balls you really want to see, especially, looking at Chex's personal splits, he is minus 10 seconds after Tower Para, so having a 6 blue ball run is not going to be, super great, but, it is what it is.
And Ace, though, 2 blue balls for Ace, so that's good. So he'll be able to save a little bit of time there because he didn't have to worry about the lightning cycles or anything like that. So he'll be able to play a little bit of catch-up here, which is good.
Yeah, and just like that, we're pretty much synced at the pyramid.
And thank you, Peter, for the red circles indicating the number of blue balls that they received. Very good. Thank you, Brahman, for being a little more accurate. So to save a little bit of time here, what you can do off of the pyramid is get spin speed, as you can see there, Chex doing. And now we're making our way to... Alright, so Pod Overworld is very tricky in certain parts. Mainly it's this. So we have Murderdactyl, which Chex got by, and then also Kiki. So Kiki, 10 rupees to talk to him, or to escort him, 100 to open the door. The problem, of course, is should you get hit at any point from here to the door, Kiki will double back to his original spot. And of course, the problem is you now need another 10 to talk to him again and to keep it going. And so that's the bigger issue there. And so that's what makes, at least in my opinion, what makes doing tree pulls so dangerous is usually you'll only have just enough to do this once. But, of course, there are certain other things you can do to try to make up any of those lost rupees.
Yeah, and in fact, depending on how fortunate your drops have been, right? Maybe you are, at like the 8 mark or like the 7 mark. We do actually see that, Chex displayed on the Y item is the boomerang. So if you actually stun an enemy, the stun price is 1 rupee. So you could, in fact, potentially scrounge up a couple ones, like, here and there in order to try and make your new entry fee.
Right, and so now, Check's not getting a great pattern there, but managed to get through without taking damage. So, well, really, just like with really any dungeon, almost, is you almost never want to take damage at any point. And so, even for here as well, it's not as big of a deal as opposed to other places, but here you really don't want to be taking damage into the intentional one for Hammer Yump. All right, Chex overshot the bomb a little bit, but that's okay. Still manages to get through without taking any damage from the bomb. Okay, and then up to the big P. As Ace is about to copy that same process. And, okay. Oh, unfortunately, a few pixels too low. Couldn't get it, but that's okay. Still managed to recover. Whereas for me, for whatever reason, I need 3 or 4 more bombs to do that. If I miss it the first time, don't know why.
I mean, it's also, you know, good that Ace ended up getting Sapphire Rupees, right? Because there were also 3 additional bombs. That, you know, this is, you know, one of the reasons why if you have an extra bomb, you definitely have some buffer here.
Yeah, because that's what we were saying before, is you then have to really start worrying about your bomb count, because you're not, it's assuming you won't make any mistakes. And so you saw Chex. Normally we don't do this in runs, but, you know, for safety reasons, you saw Chex pick up the 1 bomb there before doing the hammer up, and doing it well, I might add. And so we'll see here. Ace doesn't need to do that because he has extras. So everyone loves double pixel perfect, you know, tricks here. So we'll see now if Ace can get it. He looks to be in good position, and he is. Excellent. Good. So they both first tried it. So that's very, very good.
Yeah, it's definitely really great to see, you know, being able to line up Hammer with, you know, just like minimal menu buffers in order to get the right pixel.
And Check's doing a great job getting that arrow to hit the switch, because that's a really, really small window. Check's didn't really get the sexy statue, but still managed to get through there. And so this is the thing. The only so well, let's see how Mimics go real quick. Mimics went well, and he got the 5 drop.
Yeah. Fortunate.
It's like he knew. It's like he knew. Whereas Ace, unfortunately, taking the bonk, but he is making his way. Didn't do the proper sexy statue either, but that's okay. It is imperative here that you maintain your beams all the way to the back, because if not, then you have to do some extra menus. And unfortunately, Ace, because he ran out of arrows, had to pick up the other one. But that's okay. He still has his beams, which all that matters, because in that room that Chex was just in, you would have to menu a couple of times in order to be back on track. Let's see how his turtle party goes. Turtle party.
Turtles in time. Oh, almost. And Chex has some pretty nice patterns from the turtles, but unfortunately it looks like he just got hammered a bit too early. So instead of actually killing the turtle with the hammer, you know, flipping it over.
Right. So. Okay. Oh, went for the dash. Okay.
Almost no key dash though. All right, let's see if we can get some good RNGs on AceZer0 side as well.
Okay, Chex, not quite sure. He started out with doing a poke dash in the Helma. Now, all right, now he's got the spin speed, so now he's off and running.
Unfortunately, not getting some good RNG. He's got some multiple fireballs here. So we see, actually, so both runners end up going to Helmasaur with full health, which is always really great to see. Chex had a really nice cleanup there. Yeah, and so as you mentioned, for spin speed, I think Ace is also going for it as well. If you activate spin speed, you can actually extend the hammer's hitbox to what the sword's hitbox is. So if you ever tried to hammer up, it is quite unpredictable. But in Forest, you know, we want this fight to be as over as fast as possible, right? So if you can use the sword's hitbox, which is much bigger and more reliable, and still get hammered, which is 10% damage, it is much more consistent and faster way to kill Helmasaur.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at what Ace did. Ace didn't do the spin speed. He did it the older method, which is fine. Had a little trouble though, because he also got a ton of fireballs there, but also. Obviously, it wasn't a problem for either of these runners, but this is really the one place why almost everyone gets Sankheart, because if you get Sankheart, that means you get an extra hit, and so instead of 3 hits, you get 4 hits for the Helma fight, because Helma does 2 hearts of damage no matter what.
Yeah, Helma does 2 hearts, the Fireball's 2 hearts, the Tail does 2 hearts. It's quite painful. All right, so out of pod, where there were lots of dangers. Chex is back on the overworld. So if you thought going to pod was just as dangerous, we've got all these Ropas. Chex actually has some pretty decent luck being able to dash through without taking any damage. Of course, Ropas, just like Hummelsaur, also do 2 hits of damage. That dash right across and saying goodbye to the Murder-Dactyl does always look close, but if you do it correctly, you will actually not take damage there.
First try hammer dash, always a nice thing to see. As now we'll see if, make sure Ace can get by all of the Ropas, the Murder-Dactyl, and of course the puppy at the very end. Let's see here. Alright, good. Got the dash for the Murder-Dactyl, and gets past the puppy at the end. Can he also get first try hammer dash? Let's see here. As he makes his way down, he does. Very nice.
Yeah, no, these overworlds so far have been pretty clean. And Chex talking to our good friend Stumpy, getting the shovel. So we're going to try and see. He's going to try and mirror at the exact one of the exact locations to try and get it quicker, which he does. So if you end up and first try dig, of course, Chex is gaming. So if you end up warping using the mirror to warp from Dark World to Light World, or vice versa, at certain exact locations, you can get what is called a quick warp, which lets you go to the other world 34 frames faster. Don't ask why they exist, because I also don't know. but they do, so if you can get it, it's a free half a second time save.
And unfortunately, if you see how Ace unfortunately did not get it, because you see how the screen transition took a little bit longer, and so that's how you can kind of tell the differences in time. Yeah, Ham, something math.
Yeah.
There's math involved. Alright, so now Chex activating the flute. Now, I know Chex will not do this, and well, actually, no, never mind, neither of them will. So, usually for newer runners or need safeties, this is usually the time when you go grab powder. But Ace, oh, excellent. So Ace doing fine there with Usain Bolt.
Yeah, so you talked about spin speed earlier. While it is a really great thing to have and execute, if you don't get some of the spin speeds, it's not going to be in the world. Just try and dash along your screens. That screen is probably the most important one to get spin speed on, because if you don't spin speed, you're not getting past that red guard. Basically like through dashing. And if you get bamboozled by that red guard, you're going to take a lot of damage very quickly. Not to mention losing a bunch of time.
Yeah, because I don't know why. I just feel like the red guards seem to have 7 times as much health as the other one, or as the blue guards.
Yeah, and they move towards. I mean, it's like they also have boots or something for some reason, or they have like super boots.
Something like that. I mean, I don't know how, but yeah, they haul ass. That's pretty much what they always do.
That's Chex. All right, into Thieves Town. You see him actually hesitating a little bit. So as part of RNG, it looks like he was actually worried about that pink Zizak, because if you end up jumping down, which is what we need to do, and the pink Zizak is not in a friendly spawn position, you can just jump down, hit him, and take 2 hearts for no reason. It's really actually great to see that both runners are going to enter Thieves Town with full health. That means also they actually had a pretty safe overworld.
Correct. And Blaine coming in with the fun fact. Apparently, both of these gamers have combined for, well, first he said 38, but then 380. Yeah, it was 380 PBs in the past month. So
that is very impressive, considering I think Chex has actually only done something like 60 NMG attempts or something like that, like in his lifetime.
Something like that.
Okay, something math, right?
Correct. So of course, Chex now approaching one of the other difficult, tricky parts is the little thing we call Hellway. And so he unfortunately did not get the magic pixel that allows him to dash all the way up if the Patrick Stars allowed it. But managed to recover nicely, so that was good there.
Yeah, so if you don't get the God Pixel, unfortunately you're always going to lose some amount of time, but what's probably more dangerous is you not only can you lose time, you can just get bodied by all of the enemies, any of the enemies, and wow, what a pause buffer to avoid those crickets checks. You could just lose like half your health. Ace, though, with the really nice dash for the God Pixel.
So yeah, what Ace did is ideally what should have happened. And of course, just as a quick reminder for those of you who have not seen the run, I always like to say it every time, what Ace is doing and what Chex already did, what Ace is doing now, this seems like a giant waste of time, because literally they run up here, they throw a bomb, they make a hole, and leave. Like, they don't even get the chest. But this is the most important thing in here, because otherwise you can't fight the boss. Spoilers. Blaine, are we getting a trivia question? No. That's it. I got nothing else. So, Check's now making his way into the prison to get the maiden. Okay.
She looks harmless, but I guess there was a reason why we had to go all the way up to the attic and explode the bomb floor, right?
I do appreciate that she also seems to have the boots.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, Ham. Green Ham coming in, the master of trivia, has come in with the question. Judith Anderson played Big Mama Pollitt, the matriarch of a greedy southern family in this film. Alright, so we'll hopefully get that answer at some point. Okay, so Chex got through toilet room there.
Yeah, so both these runners have taken no health and no damage in Thief Sound. This is actually really impressive. I mean, so it was also really great, for Ace, because he got through that hellway. But the fact that Chex didn't actually end up getting the God Pixel, and he took no damage is definitely really, really great. And he got through those crickets too.
That's true. Unfortunately, Ace, the red jelly.
Oh, did I speak too soon?
Yeah, you did.
Ace.
Yeah, you did. Congratulations. Thank you. All right. So Ace, unfortunately, wasn't able to get the clean dash after getting Titan's Mitts, and Chex a little bit off script, but it was the last phase, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So let's see if Ace can actually stay on the script this time. No. No is the answer. Okay, so what we mean by script is that usually if you hit blind in certain spots at certain times, the pattern will always be the same. Unfortunately, oh god.
Oh no!
Oh,
no!
okay.
Ace. Oh, all right. So, yeah. So as we demonstrated, blind. If you go off script, unless you're really good at improv, this is not going to go a great fight for you. Oh man, and that's Isaac on the return. Yeah. So and. The fireballs do 1 heart of damage. Blind's head does 2 hearts of damage. The lasers, I think, also do 2 hearts of damage. It is a fight that can go really off the rails very, very quickly.
And now, of course, what's even worse is there is now no second chance for the script. He now has to do this straight random. So we'll see how he can handle that as now Chex is making his way to go get tempered. But let's hear Ace. Got through the first phase. Took a hit, but that's okay. He's still got 3 hearts. All right, that's not great. He's got 2 hearts. He doesn't want to get hit by blind. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, even so, not only is the refight, just more random, you have to do a lot more reaction, right? It's actually harder because you start at the bottom of the screen, right? And blind actually starts higher than normal, than he does the first time. So you have to basically react even more to more difficulty.
Shady coming in with some heavy TIL there, and that apparently you can actually go get the maiden again from the cell and be back on script. So that's interesting.
I did not know you could actually do that.
I didn't know either. There we go. Factoid of the day. Chex has dropped off the smith, has went and paid the 10 rupees to go get himself now a slightly better Master Sword. And by slightly, we mean a lot better Master Sword. It's Tempered Sword, made out of 100% fresh Cheetos. So, of course, you want to go through the time. And Ace, congratulations, defeated Blind. Excellent. GG's for him in this fight. He still has more of the game to go. That was it. But you want to go ahead and it seems like a time waste to have to go get the frog, turn him into Smith, and then go through all that running back and forth. But having tempered really does, you do a lot more damage against all the bosses, and it's and really, if nothing else, it's really, really important. It's really the reason we do it is for Ganon.
Yeah, and basically all screens, after you get the Tempered Sword become much safer, right? And especially for RTA, anything that you can make safer or more consistent is definitely going to, Chex unfortunately did not get great movement here in the statue room, but at least, everything didn't move very quickly. He ended up getting grabbed earlier rather than later.
Yeah, the mummy's not exactly cooperating. But Chex, again, mummy's not cooperating again, but good improv there, was able to pull instead of push the statue. So at least he'll be able to get through to go get the fire rod. So for Ham's question earlier, the answer was cat on a hot tin roof. And so Anders, did you miss trivia? Yes, you did. I am sorry. Hopefully Ham will be able to pull something else from his Jeopardy bot later. Now, again, another bomb jump, another time save. So normally you got to go into another room, then you have to bomb it, then you have to bomb a wall, then you have to press a lever, and then the back wall explodes. Or you can just do that. That Chex just did.
That's right. Yeah, I mean these bomb jumps, are pretty much every bomb jump they do. The one in Hera, the one here in Skullwoods, the one in Ice Palace, the one in Pod. I mean, these are like pretty massive time saves. Certainly some more than others, right? Hammer Jump and Ice Palace bomb jump are probably the most notable. But I want to say this one saves something like 8 seconds. I mean, which is still pretty significant over the course of an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really probably out of all the bomb jumps, Ice Palace is probably the biggest time save, just because it prevents you from having to do it twice.
Yeah, if you ever done Ice Palace, I know maybe you don't have the fondest memories of this, playing casually, maybe when you were younger. But if you were trying to do Ice Palace like normally, like the way that developed intended, you're going around that palace like 3 different times or something in order to get to Cold Stare.
Yeah, I mean, I did it. I was doing a rando, and pretty much just I got lost in Ice Palace, and so I ended up doing it 3 times.
Oh no! Chex though, holy cow!
Excellent moth fight.
Yeah, that moth fight was amazing. You only see like one spike even moved, right? So I think what happened was he got the dash poke at the very beginning. So
he did.
Yeah. So that means even for 10%, there's also another great advantage of getting it before Skullwoods is where on Master Sword, Moth takes 8 hits with the Master Sword, but only 4 hits with Tempered. And he did that dash poke at the very beginning, which means it actually counted twice the number of Tempered hits. So you only need to slash Moth 2 more times in order to kill him. So really great, excellent fight.
Right, and I believe he also he finished it with a poke dash, which is good just because I don't know why it's programmed this way, but whenever Moth gets hit or gets hit into the spikes, damage gets canceled out for some reason. Reason. Something math. Yeah. So that's that. Ace, though, had a much better time in the mummy's room. Looks like he's about to go get himself a fry rod. He does. Excellent.
Yeah, really nice also bomb jump over on Ace's side.
Yep, skipping the Moldorms, just decides to take the other path. Not a big deal there. So something that now, as Chex is moving on to Ice Palace, the key thing there is, of course, that he hit the flute as he was doing the screen transition. That'll be a setup for something later.
Let's see if he ends up getting the quick warp here.
Does he get quick warp?
Oh,
he does.
He does. Wow.
Excellent.
Chex is nailing these.
Excellent. As Ace has got himself the small key, so he's making his way to the back.
Yeah. Sir. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to follow up on the quick warps. So certainly some quick warps are going to be much easier to set up and get than others. And Chex do not get lottery by that robot, always good to see. The one that he just did, going into the portal, going to Dark World, is a little bit harder because it's not quite against the wall. It's like 1 to 2 pixels like off. So you kind of have to like position yourself, pretty precisely after the dash. However, didn't quite get the quick fish, but what Chex is doing actually right here is after he picks up the quick medallion, he's going to warp back to the light world, and the fact that he's bonking on the right side means that he's unlocking the camera, and once you are in position to pick up the quick medallion like this, getting over and getting the quick warp is actually quite free.
Right, an excellent fight by Ace, and actually Ace did something, and one thing I was kind of looking for with Ace in the room, I guess the room before the fall into Moth, was you want to be careful not to do damage on that, because I guess we didn't comment on it earlier, but for the mini, anytime you see a mini helmet, you want to be careful not to do that damage because you could have possibly progressed the prize pool. So now for him, unless he somehow kills a mini helmet at any point now, he's now back in line to go get himself a fairy, in TR, which is good. As it looks like Chex had a pretty good path through Zora's domain. Definitely one of the tougher rooms to do well.
Yeah, I don't think I saw any iframes because Chex feels very confident and brave enough that he doesn't need iframes in order to get through the screen.
And of course, what Chex is showing there, something that's always very interesting, is while we usually know that the dark blue water, you have to swim in, whereas the light blue water you can just dash through. And gets into the warp. Into the warp. Very nice.
Oh wow, that is some great control for swimming. I actually thought that Chex would probably pause or try and kill the Zora with the fire rod, but no, he was go big or go home, or go into the whirlpool or get hit. He manages to pull out very well. So one of the most important things that we always want to do is keep beams, particularly just for this room and for this one, and then later on the conveyor belts room in Ice Palace. Anytime when there are Baris that have keys, you want to be able to beam them from afar instead of trying to get up there and slash him and run the risk of getting electrocuted. Not only are you going to take damage, which is less than ideal, but you really lose the time because you have to wait for the electrocution animation and then you have to slash him again.
Right. If you don't get beams beforehand, you could, or if you lose your beams beforehand, you could use the fire rod, but then you have to wait for the fire rod animation to finish. So it's a whole thing. Meanwhile, looks like Ace is doing pretty well here to get himself Quake. Chex making his way through the bombable floor. And actually, with Ace here, since he's about to head into Zora's domain, to put the point I said earlier, is that even though technically he can't go in the dark blue water without the flippers, like he just kind of, you see the iframes. What is interesting, because it doesn't show real well here, is that you can actually run in the dark blue on certain edges. So that's always just something interesting to note. Whereas Chex gets himself a first try bomb jump, so very, very good. So now he'll be able to make his way. Oh, he's got full health too. That's kind of the rare surprise there.
Yeah, I think he ended up handling both Baris, both key Baris, I guess, like very well. Handling conveyor room also very cleanly.
Mm-hmm. Ace didn't fall in the dark water, so good for him. Oh, is Chex gonna do it? He did it.
All right. Chex is not going to get heckled. Supported this time for getting the stair clip. I said previously that if I got a chance to watch his race and he missed stair clip, I was going to say something. But he pulled it off, first try, which is really nice. If you've ever tried to kind of go through that room casually or just not casually, it can actually be quite a handful in order to try and slip and slide around using ice physics to try and get through that stair and to get into those stairs. So that stair clip is actually just a really nice setup to get downstairs very quickly and cleanly.
And unfortunately, hold on, I guess see this because Chex was practicing this earlier. Textbook cold stair fight, including getting hit by the ice at the end. So for Ace unfortunately took damage in Zora's domain. However, he got lucky in that when he killed, I forgot what he killed already, he managed to get the 50-50 heart. So that's why he was able to redeem his sword beams.
Nice. Unfortunately, one of the bars dropped arrows and couldn't get them in time.
Hold on, I gotta go back here. What did Fox just write? You can only run on it going certain directions. Like you couldn't get. I just saw the word orthogonal.
Something math? Is that what we're going?
Like you couldn't get that far into the deep water moving orthogonally to it. Thank you, Fox, for busting out orthogonal.
No, these Baris, man.
I love Baris. I love Baris. I love Baris. They're great. They're such a fantastic. They're a fantastic enemy. I love that they're in the game. They can go bleep themselves. So now, okay, so, all right, yeah, Ace grabbing the... By the way, orthogonal means perpendicular. So, Ace, unfortunately, having some trouble here in the conveyor belt room. I don't blame you, because it's a conveyor belt room.
Yeah, but I mean, also, as we saw on Chex's side, if you have sword beams, and you can, there's like a really nice setup that you can beam the bar from afar, take some damage off the spike, and then just dash right through with your iframes. And the fact that, and just another consequence of not having beams, right?
Correct. And oh my god, you pick it up from the bottom.
That's right. That is amazing.
Okay, so and what was even more interesting too was after the bomb jump, Ace, good on him for realizing he was actually about to dash back into the pit, but he managed to adjust himself to go back. I mean, yeah, that's all right. What is he gonna do it? He does it. Look at that.
Yeah, he has
Look
a
at
setup too.
yeah. That's the slower one. I think he also took a heart. I think you take a heart of damage if you end up drifting to the left there like that.
Yeah, it's my understanding is that getting the Star Club, where it ends up spitting out is somewhat random, and if you get spit out on the left side, there is an visible spike there, which can actually, in this case, take a heart off of damage. However, that being said, Ace has 5 hearts going into Colster. Colster does 4 hearts of damage. So the difference really between 5 hearts and 6 hearts is actually not. It's actually like there's no difference.
Right. The only thing really he needs to worry about is like the ice blocks. Okay, not the cleanest fight, but not bad. He at least didn't take damage. That's really the big thing. Unfortunately, he didn't get hit by the ice cube afterwards, as Chex was trying to show in his optimal setup. So, I guess Chex had the better fight. Either way, though, Ace didn't die because, in all seriousness, if either of them died at Cold Stare, the time loss is incredible because essentially the only way to make up for it is going into swamp, clearing swamp, and then coming back again because you need the magic, you need you need the 8 things just to get to Cold Stare.
Yeah, so and of course that being said, Cold Stare is not the final boss, right? It's not Ganon. It's not even the last crystal dungeon we have to complete before Ganon. There is Fire, has the Trias. There's Turtle Rock that has Trinex. There are some still no one's out of danger. There's still plenty of things that can that have ended tournament runs and PBs before.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, many times for many runners, the Ganon fight will end people's PB runs, and just because not even through any fault of their own, but just because of the warps, because of RNG. So interesting here. I didn't watch Chex. I saw Ace did not opt to go shopping in this particular split. He's going to go direct to swamp.
Yeah, Chex has also has not had his. He hasn't clipped his coupons yet.
Okay, very good. So that means they're going to be taking, at least in my opinion, a slightly more risky route in going to try to get Ether during the Meyer split, which we'll explain later when that time comes. But Chex looks like he got very good got a good sociable firebar. Ace did, as you all saw there, if you item dash with the mirror, unfortunately took a heart of damage. If you, as you saw here, if Ace, if you take a heart of damage, or if you do a dash with the mirror, you make the block disappear, which is always interesting. And,
and fun fact, if you are short on bombs for whatever reason, there are actually 3 bombs in that damage chest you can pick up.
That is true. So yeah, this is also the time where restocking for bombs, if you are worried about that, is an issue. As she just said, there is a 3. However, there is one bomb right above that key where Ace was, and there's also going to be one bomb where in the restock room where Chex will be here momentarily. Now back here, a very important strat, well, a couple. One, usually since you now have the hook shot, if you have the ability to hook shot as opposed to dash, you want a hook shot, it is faster usually. Secondly, it's important to do a hook dash as soon as, which is, hitting Y and A at the same time, or on the same frame as the kids say, to that pot, because it allows us to push that statue without having to move out of the way and worrying about pulling the skull without having to worry about the statue. There you go. Jesus H. I cannot talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you don't realize that it's kind of like a quality of life improvement until you actually see that it's done. Because, yeah, moving, just like we saw in Skull Woods, pushing around a statue, and have it inchingly, slowly going somewhere is quite tedious. And of course, in a speedrun, that is the last thing that we want to have happen.
Right.
Oh, jeez. Ace is getting somewhat bullied by these skeletons. Yeah.
Ace is getting bullied by Stalfos, because who doesn't get bullied by Stalfos? Chex going for the 0 cycle. Will not get the 0. He does get the 0 cycle. Oh, no, he doesn't.
Oh, the empty cycle. Man, it's not the 0 cycle, it's the empty cycle.
He gets the invisible 1, sadly. Not opting for Fire Rod strats, instead just going to do the standard 2 spins, get rid of Argus. Good work there.
Yeah, I mean, so we did see Chex in chat slightly earlier. I believe he is also aware of where Ace is here in this race. The fact that he, does maybe a more consistent but slightly slower phase 2 Argus probably just indicates that he knows that he's ahead by a pretty sizable margin. And so, whatever you can do to just be consistent and just play your game. It's probably like a half second or like a handful of seconds probably not gonna make a difference at this point.
Yeah, if he knows where he is and he knows he can play, he can do the safer things. It's fine, just because, again, as you mentioned, in a tournament race, you really just want to be safe. You want to be protected. You don't want to die, that whole bit. That's really just what we want to look out for. And since I guess since he notices where he is now, you don't have to worry about doing some of the stuff that either is a little riskier or something he may not be comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that, even though he opted to take damage at Colston, right? It's not like he took so much damage that he died, right? He just took damage, just to maybe reduce some heartbeats or something.
Right, let's hear. And then Chex. Okay, so this is now as Ace just got the hook shot, now he's making his way to the back here. Of course, this is always the bit of a tricky one here. If it looks like, though, the cabbages were very friendly to Chex, because usually the big thing is here you need to have sword beams going into Mire. But he managed to get through, so excellent for him. Now, if he did take damage, though, on where those flowers were, there's a 50-50 chance of getting a heart or a fairy. So he had a chance to make up some hearts if he took damage.
Yeah, Chex ended up bonking into a dead rock. I thought he would have taken damage, but apparently he was just fine. Okay. So, I mean, anytime you bonk into a dead rock and you don't take damage, or anytime you deal with a dead rock and you don't take damage, it's definitely a good thing in my book.
Correct, yeah. So I don't fully know it. If I can manage to not get hit by one, I'll definitely take it. Chex also opting now to go get the ice rod. So, and whenever you want to get these, it doesn't matter. A lot of runners will split it over 2. Some will do it over 1. Doesn't really matter. It all kind of evens out the same amount of time anyway. Yeah. Ace is not opting for the 0 cycle. He's going to do the 1 cycle.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a lot safer. We actually see that on his way to Argus, Ace unfortunately ended up taking probably a bit more damage than he would have liked. All of a sudden, you're just kind of, this is how Swamp goes, right? You try and make your way through the dungeon, take a half a heart here, full heart here, because, you have so much health, coming in. You're coming in with basically, 10, 11 hearts, which is not something that you normally come, and then all of a sudden, you just realize that, oh man, like, I can only take 1 or 2 hits at Argus before I die.
Right, and also it should be noted, Ace did the faster version, the fire rod shots with the spin. So Chex managed to get through the Mire overworld, which can be difficult at times. And so the reason we were making such a big deal about making sure you had beams, ideally this is the room why you want to have beams, is so you can do what we like to call a fast Mire 2. And what I mean by that is you pretty much take everything out of the room before the Wizrobes do a 2nd cycle. So that was excellently done by Chex, as he now makes his way through it. Quick little fun fact. So I had a brief interview.
Right, yeah.
I did have a brief interview with Chex earlier. By interview, I just DM'd him on Discord, and he wanted to mention to me. And I think everyone would appreciate this.
We are listening.
Well, I'm glad someone is. At the 2018 tournament, apparently, he did not actually get the big key in Mire because a cat fight broke out in his room. Where he lives, he's got a couple of cats, and they tend to commit to fisticuffs, as you can sometimes even hear on stream. And yeah, apparently back in 2018 he did that, and a fight broke out, and unfortunately forgot the big key. So, good on him. Let's see if he remembers this time, though. That's as he's coming up on, well, said big key.
Well,
Also,
he hasn't dropped down yet, so we don't know if he's going to forget. I mean, he could drop down early, or leave.
judging by his facial expression, though, it seems like the cats have been thoroughly locked out of the room, so that is a plus for him. It also should be noted, though, Ace, excellent job. He did not take any damage coming up Death Mountain, so good on him. And the run's live. All right, good. Chex got the big key, so all is right with the world. maybe he'll just bomb jump away without getting the chest. Maybe he'll just bomb jump away without getting the chest, of course, because Chex never plays the game properly. Of course, he would go to an AD rule set.
Well, he is going to pick up the Canis Mar here very shortly, which is probably any glitched runner's, like favorite item, right? It's just so broken, you can do so many things.
Correct. Also, Chex not opting for Spark Gamble, which is fine. Now he'll be making his way. So Ace, pretty much mirroring what Chex did a couple minutes ago, and that, of course, is to go do all of his shopping here at this particular point. So, yep, Red Cane. Now, of course, for Meyer, there's the real big trick of course, the spooky action glitch. Now, on Ace's screen, Ace did really the first important part, which was to pick up the rock from the bottom. And so then the rest of this, excuse me, is now a matter of a carefully timed Samari block with a dash. Let's see here if Chex does it. Switches to Red Cane. Okay, so you saw right there, he did it. So you saw right there was a little puff of the start of the dash, and then he placed the block. And so you do that. Now what's nice is when he comes into this room with the spike, when he switches to Fire Rod, he just has to hit the spike, and he activates the switch. That's on the upper part of the screen. And so this will pretty much work for all of them. Ace, by the way, also getting a good Meyer 1, unfortunately, or a fast Meyer 2.
Chex. He did not hit the... You were talking about the importance of bombs? But he did not end up hitting the anti-fairies, or something didn't register. He tried twice, and you said the switch did not hit. Good thing he had that backup bomb, because if you know, there are no bombs here in Meyer, right? Or at least not in the basement.
Nothing close. Nothing close.
So yeah, the fact that he had that that backup, holy cow.
Yeah, I was missed it because I was watching Ace getting through Meyer 2 there, but now if he didn't get Ice Rod, he would actually be in much bigger trouble than he would be right now, just because you need to have a bomb to get the Ice Rod cave. Fortunately, he already did it, so really no harm, no foul here. Just he lost a little bit of time not being able to do Spooky. Switch to the mirror a little bit early, but still was able to get the kill. So, a good Vidi fight from Chex. Of course, Chex doing the damage boost and all that other stuff, which is dangerous to do because just because of the fact that while the slime does 1 damage, everything else does 4. So, but he managed to get through it, which is fine.
Yeah, it's definitely very important to keep the iframes from the 1 heart of damage that you do, and of course, it's one of those things where if you do everything exactly right, it looks super easy, very clean. You're not supposed to, take any more extra damage. But if any tiny little thing goes wrong, as you said, 4 hearts of damage is suddenly at you, and then it's more often that you actually can't really recover in order to do like the remaining sword spins. Like the normal way that you would try and kill Vitreous, because you just don't have enough health in order to tank the rest of the fight.
Yeah, because also you have to remember as well that most runners at this point, you're not going in with full health. So you're already going down hearts, so you have to just also keep that in mind. And it looks like, Chex getting very good.
Yeah.
Very good past the dead rocks. as he makes his way.
That was so friendly. Like, I mean, is it even Death Mountain for Chex? Like, I don't think he took any damage from like any of the trips that he came up here for. Like, it was before Hera, it was nothing.
You know he's not. You know he's not out of Death Mountain yet, right?
That is true. We've got a couple more screens left to go, and I've definitely seen cases where you get past Valhalla screen, and then the harmless looking dead rocks right here, and then this next screen just.
And here we go.
To mess your run totally up.
Okay, so unfortunately he got dead rocked, and so what that meant essentially is if you hit the dead rock in that particular spot, he couldn't run past him, so he literally would have to wait it out. Fortunately, if you just go off the screen a little bit, come back, then they reset, all's right with the world. AceZer0, yes, Tam, it's clearly Clear Mouse's fault, absolutely. Ace showing how to properly do Spooky, as you can see here, by doing all that, is able to get the switch in the second room, get the switch in this room, and oh, really, Fox? Chex got the what I always
get it. I was too distraught to see.
Chex getting the most difficult quick warp in all the game. Let's see how Ace does though with the Vidi fight. As you can see here, he's just losing 1 heart instead of 4.
Yeah,
that's exactly
really nice
though what you want. Yeah. Didn't have lightning. Oh, there you go.
Really good fight.
Excellent fight. So both got through Vidi. Now, of course, Turtle Rock as Chex in Turtle Rock's great. I love this place so much.
Do you really? Oh, no, please tell me more, Buddha, about how you love this place.
Well, as I always tell Ham knows more than anyone else, I love chain chomps. And I'm so glad that they're in this game.
You were saying that about so many other enemies too, like Baris.
Right, but now I'm serious though. I love the chain chomp because they're invincible. They do 4 hearts of damage. You can't do anything to them. They're fantastic. See, it's true. Yeah, Ham's right. I'm a chomp stan. Oh, actually, hold on. Okay, so if you saw there with Chex that fairy drop, so that whole thing started back in Aga Tower. So just so you're aware. That was where you needed it, and good thing he did because he did take a hit from the chomps.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think maybe did the iframes just like run out, or maybe they didn't start early.
I think they didn't start.
Yeah.
So now I want to see how Ace does here with Death Mountain. See if he can get.
Unfortunately, it's not gonna get the hook activated.
Didn't get the hook. All right, at least he slashed the dead rock in the correct way. All right, so far it looks like his Death Mountain a little bit, just as good. As now Chex making his way to Pokey's 1, gets the good RNG, and we'll get the magic drop.
Yeah, and certainly the good news coming up for Ace is that despite the fact he was not able to dash kill the blue guards in Aga Tower, we did not see a fairy drop earlier from the mini Hulbasaur in Pod and for that matter, Skullwoods.
And again.
Oh, that is so painful. All right, Ace is taking a very similar approach and to not basically have to wait out the 7 seconds, for the dead rock to unspawn or whatever, defreeze. Yeah, but at least, Ace is also going to have the option of getting that fairy as well, especially for how much damage we take in Turtle Rock, and the fact that we're going to try and damage boost off the roller, which is what Chex did earlier, is definitely going to be a nice refill going into Trinex.
Right, and then for Malmo here, Malmo made a note in the comments that Chex, he beamed the switch, but the chomp blocked it, so he didn't get the switch iframe, so thank you for clarifying there. As Chex now approaches Crystal Roller, gets the key. Will the beam beat it? Oh, he beat it entirely.
He did make it. That is a really tight movement. Oftentimes, if you can be just like a couple pixels too slow, right? And then you have to wait. You can either take the 3 hearts of damage, right, or you have to basically wait it out.
Yep. And unfortunately, though, Chex misfired the first block, so he's going to take 2 hearts of damage in the platform room here, which not a huge deal, but could be problematic. We'll see what happens when he comes across the dreaded laser skip. So of course, for a lot of new runners, this is arguably, the one thing that everyone has a hard time doing because it's a scary thing what you just saw there. That's the reason why you get Mirror Shield. It's really for this. But you see Chex managed to get past it fine. and got the key dash, so he'll be making his way now through the maze. And okay, yeah, very nice. Oh, and he managed to get the anti-fairy to stick.
Yeah, it was actually pretty fortunate he got that magic drop. Just because he ended up probably taking, as you said, I think 1 or maybe 2 extra hits of placing some Mario blocks. I'm not even sure if he would have had enough magic at the very end. So you can always do the last like crystal puzzle room, without magic. It's just a bit more painful because you have to throw 2 pots, but you're also reacting a lot to enemy RNG. We saw anti-fairy. Oh no!
I love Chomps.
Oh no!
I love Chomps so much. So, yeah, unfortunately, Ace became a victim of the Chomp Party, which is a shame, but Chomps are jerks. There's really nothing else to say, whereas...
these guys, they hit so hard, right? And I think Ace did not get his fairy drop right from this Pokey earlier.
He did.
Oh, he did, even. Oh, geez.
He got his fairy drop, so now he just... The good news... The good news is he just had to get through. And the Chomps wanted to give him another bite right before he left there. So, also didn't mention, Chex had a good try-next fight, did the backdoor strats, so he only got the 1 cycle with the head. Now, another thing where you want to start worrying about now is, or at least at this point, is arrow count. Because you do need to have at least 18 arrows when you get before you get Ice Armos. Now, for Chex is sitting well at 17 because you're guaranteed to get 1 pot, so that's 5, so he'll have enough. Whereas Ace has 14, he'll also have enough as well. But if you didn't have enough or had too many, then you would have to consider other options. And there are a couple options that hopefully we'll point out as we go along here. But Chex now making his way around. The other reason you want Tempered Sword is Tempered Sword actually allows you to do damage to the Lionels. Master Sword does not for some reason.
And and if you actually try dashing into Lionels with the Master Sword, they don't even get out of your way. They just literally sit there or stand there, and then you end up taking damage.
Yeah, it's interesting in that you don't actually even. It's not that they bounce back. You just literally they don't care. They do not care. Ace managed to get through Pokies. That's good.
Yeah, I ended up picking up the 8 bomb drop. Probably not necessarily the thing that he wanted it to pick up, but maybe cause him a couple more frames later on in the pre-Moldorm 2 rooms. Chex. In GT, you saw him bonk the small key off the torch. So in GT, there are 3 small keys where runners at their discretion can choose to get. The torch key is by far the safest one because you literally just bonk the torch, just like we did in Desert Palace a long time ago, and claim the key. There are 2 more that we can get in Upper GT, which take a little bit more skill and maneuvering to get. They're technically faster, but if you are willing to sacrifice the handful of frames in order to get the super safe and conservative small key, right? Especially in Chex's position, right? There's no reason to take extra risk.
No, not at all. And of course, Ace walked in with 3 hearts, which it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. It doesn't matter much here because the laser does 4, but he got by.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm surprised I don't know if you necessarily didn't want to take the safety door or not. He certainly has enough bombs to do so. But definitely, showing off some of his rando skills, in that sometimes you get to do laser skips with much less health and equipment. So really got to see that he ended up getting through.
I'm surprised he did a cane dash. Okay, very good. So yeah, Malmo made a point earlier that him getting the bombs and all that would allow him to possibly cycle for another chance for a fairy, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So Chex here. It's very. All right, so Chex had a little bit of. He let 1 get away from him, unfortunately, and so. The reason that's a big deal is that might, and I don't know, when you guys in chat could probably tell me, that might mess up the fire bats for the Ganon fight later, so that's something to keep in mind. Ace also did backdoor strats just like Chex, managed to get an excellent Trinex kill. Oh, he is Fox? Okay. Alright. Yeah, I don't know how long it is before the pattern starts to go south. Okay. You do have to mess it up pretty bad. Okay, very good. Well, we'll see what happens, though. Chex. Of course, everyone loves the mimics rooms here, because of course those red guys can only be damaged by arrows, and to try to get through these rooms cleanly in a fast manner, very difficult, very tricky, but managed to get through it.
Yeah, and you were talking about picking up the mirror shield. I mean, something that of course these runners would probably never do. Is not only does the mirror shield, it has like 2 uses, so you can actually block the lasers that you find to the rock, and you can actually block the fireballs that come out of those mimics' eyes. So if you do have the mirror shield, especially in a casual playthrough, you can actually just sit there and take the hit or block the hit, and then actually kill the mimics. And it's much easier, but of course it takes up a lot more time.
Yes, of course. Now, checks though into one of the more difficult portions. Of course, we call it the gauntlet. It's a bunch of rooms of fun, usually involving conveyors and spikes and lasers.
This room
and
is not
ice.
treating it very well.
No. So G3, not great. G4 though, oh, very nice. Okay, and then here we are, the last one. Gets a couple good clean kills and a nice dash for the door. All right, so on to Landmo 2. Usually, if you position yourself just right, and if Landmo does cooperate, you do get yourself a 1 cycle.
Yeah, I mean, Landmo really tried to give Chex a hard time in getting that 2nd cycle. I think I saw 2 short hops, right, from the 2 worms.
Yeah, he got 2 short hops, but fortunately, he was able to react quick enough, which is very nice. Good on him. And Ace, important thing to note, Ace is actually skipping the torch key, so he's going to be getting the one at the very top of GT here. So we'll see how that works out for him. Hopefully it will work out a little bit. Alright. Chex gets through the heart attack room. Because what's dangerous about those guards is depending on how they're positioned and where you dash, you could get frame ruled.
Yeah, and you can get frame ruled multiple times, right? Clinking is definitely like one of those really nervous moments where it's like when you hear a clink, you're like, am I going to get stopped? And if you get stopped, those red hearts, those red guards also do 100 damage apiece. And the fact that there are 4 of them running at you very quickly is going to be not a good time for you. Gets through the torches too, though. Very nicely. Only took 4 shots, including getting the upper right one, from underneath, which was also really cool to see. Basically, beat the spark.
Right. And so Chex managed to get the bomb first throw, gets the magic pot. So now we head off into Moldorm 2. Of course, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he will not hover to save the run. He does not.
I have not seen Chex hover this in any tournament race so far.
Okay, and you waited for the chest to appear. You can time it just right to where as you use the hook shot, you can actually get the hook, or you can actually hook onto the chest and carry over. Ace unfortunately has 2 Armos get away from him. Now I think he's now going to have a lot of problems. I think that for him, I'm pretty sure now the fire bat pattern has messed up for him, unfortunately, for the Ganon fight. Chex now, starting to Aga 2. So, of course, Oh, really?
That's a nice triple. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What? Nice patterns. Yeah, so of course...
Not until you get the blue balls! Not until you get the blue balls!
Good until that happened. Oh, and yeah, so blue balls are a pain to deal with Aghanim 1. They are just as painful in Aghanim 2. Oh, it could have been so good.
Nice recovery, though, to get that... I think that was a 4 cycle, but, I mean, yeah. But anyway, good on him for getting through that. So now we're finally approaching. He's now going to approach the end of the game, whereas now Ace is just making his way now through the top, having trouble with mimics with that mimic right there, as you can see, kind of why.
Yeah, those BMOs, in combination with where the mimics originally spawn is, it can get out of hand. Just like everything else in this game, if you don't do things exactly correctly, right, everything just gets out of hand so quickly. And, the fact that we have 14 hearts going in, not even probably full health, it's just, everything's just, your health can go by so quickly that you don't even realize. And then suddenly you're at, the beginning or the middle of the gauntlet and you're like 1 or 2 hearts left to go.
Correct.
Just like that. Jeez, that's nice.
Yeah, because everything, because you don't have, well, you would in theory have blue, well, Yeah, you would have. Well, technically, you'd have red mail at this point.
Yeah.
But so everything still hits like a truck. And so, unfortunately, yeah, you have to be really careful with, the hearts, because really, if I remember, there's not really a lot of heart pickups that you can get on the way, especially on the way up. Meanwhile, as Ace is getting through here and having, pretty okay gauntlet, Chex having himself a pretty decent Ganon fight so far. It looks like unfortunately. The warps were generous, but he wasn't able to get the first spin there. He does get torch glitch,
yes.
which is imperative to do this fight somewhat quickly. So we'll explain the rest of the Ganon fight before, but just so you know, 12 spins to win for Chex here. And so of course this is one of the things I think casual players don't realize is that you don't need the gold sword and silver arrows as kind of implied. You can actually damage him with Tempered Sword. I mean, you can actually also damage him with Master Sword as well. Just requires 984 more spins.
Through 380, the number of combined PBs that Chex and AceZer0 have.
And assuming Chex does not fall, this will be a GG for him. Assuming he doesn't fall. But will he fall, though? Will he fall? He doesn't fall.
Looks good.
All right, so GG's for Chex. Well done. Ace had a little bit of trouble with Torches 1 there, but managed to get through because he needed to go down to get the magic. He now has a full magic pot. And so, as mentioned earlier in chat, we'll see if there is a chance that Ace is still on now, the drop for the fairy, but he's not going to go after either Helma. Okay. Now he'll go ahead though. So this will be a little bit different. He will now grab the key from the top here. It's something that Chex did not do. Okay. Oh, very nice. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well done. All right then. Good. And so now he is going to go into Moldorm 2. Will he? Oh, Christ Almighty! Real close there. That didn't help. But he gets him. All right. Good. All right, he's good. He's good. Unfortunately, also did not hover to save the rum. And, well, look who is here.
Hi, Chex. GG's.
GG's.
Good job, Chex. So, you might have had probably the nicest Death Mountain I have seen in this tournament so far. Your thoughts?
Death Mountain was good until the last two screens.
Right, yeah, that you can blame Mouse's commentators first.
No. No. I heard it like a long time after. I heard the commentary after I did it, so you can't.
Okay,
really...
very good. So for Aga 2, you had the setup for a 2-cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got blue balled. Your thoughts?
It wouldn't have been a 2-cycle, most likely, if it were a blue ball, because it was so symmetrical that it would have been a 2-hit, 3-hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the problem is that you can hit Aga 2 with 2 or multiple blue balls, but if you hit them at the same time, it only counts as 1. All right.
Yeah, it was just not done right.
No, that's okay though. But all around though, good work. So real quickly here for Ace, as we'll run through this. So every phase, 12 hits. So for the first okay, unfortunately, you didn't get 12 hits.
Phase. It's probably better that he takes the death now, right? He was just starting phase 1. The fact that he was going to Ganon with 3.5 hearts, so the fire bats hit for 4 hearts. Ganon himself, of course, does 8. He was basically on 1-hit KO mode anyway. So if you're gonna die, better to have the mishap happen earlier rather than later.
Right. So I think this time though he got the trident spin, and so there were 5 more hits, and now he has to just. Okay, so now it's just he's got to get 12.
Yeah, actually, so are the fire bats movements different? Because I think we mentioned that he didn't have a good Armos.
Oh, and he walked right into it. Yeah, so 2 things there. 1, he did unfortunately he had random bats to begin with, and then 2, because of his death, the bats get randomized anyway. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to bother. Oh, so Chex.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear the anticipation of your question, Buddha.
So Chex, you get Eri. Your thoughts?
Well, I've enjoyed being in the winner's bracket today, so so long. No, yeah, it'll be fun.
I appreciate that Chex seems to have already conceded, which is weird, but all right, that was it. Real quickly then, so we'll just go back to Ace here. Ace manages to get the 12 in the first phase and the second phase, and now it's just a matter of dealing with the warps, which he managed to get through. Can he get himself torch glitch? Yeah, you spam that torch. There you go, very good. So he himself got torch glitch. Now 12 spins to win for Ace as well.
Yeah, and just a point of contrast, right? We actually saw that Chex also got torch glitch, but he ended up using Fire Rod. Fire Rod does also require some timing, and I think you do get a very tight second chance if you miss the first shot. But of course, we see that using the lamp to get torches, we just spam that lamp. There's not too much timing involved, and it's just a lot safer. But of course, it does cost an extra menu to the lamp, and the back over the Fire Rod in order to get the rest of the shots.
Right, but of course, some people, especially because I remember when I first started doing this fight without the silvers, is you have to be careful. You do have to manage your magic because you can run out. Because Fire Rod takes off a ton more magic than the lamp does. But assuming Ace does not fall, we have another GG. He didn't fall. GG.
GG's.
GG in the chat for Ace. GG's. So managed to finish there. So I according to I missed the times in the actual room here, but
yeah, it looks like Chex finished with an official time of 1 hour 27 minutes and 11 seconds. Ace finished with 1 hour 32:34.
And Ace has joined us now in the commentary booth. GG's to you, sir.
GG's Ace.
GG.
Thanks, GG Chex. That was pretty terrible.
I mean,
for me, but
there was a lot of bad luck there. Because the Death Mountain. I just remember the Death Mountain when you're heading to Hera wasn't great. And then
yeah, that was some of that was my fault though. Like there's a lot of things where like I messed up, and then the RNG was not in my favor to like have messed up. Like I missed the first spin speed, and then I just got like 2 rocks in the face immediately. They were unavoidable because I missed the spin speed. So it's
right. Right, yeah, missing spin
mistakes.
speed and then getting 2 balls in the face is never something that's never any good. And then unfortunately, it looked fine to me. I don't know what happened, but what happened with the blind fight?
So, I almost never have trouble with blind fight, like to the point where I don't know where the hearts are to get sword beams. Like I honestly don't know where the third heart is that you can pick up, because I haven't died there in a run since I was like 145 PB or something like that. Like, I don't know. That's one of the runs. That's one of the bosses that like just clicks for me for whatever reason. And I messed it up, like not too bad. Like I didn't die, but I lost, a few seconds earlier in the week because I think I did something wrong in the first couple hits. So I was thinking like I was too far away or something. I need to walk closer. So I took 1 step down before the third, like before the poke. And I guess I was too close to him to poke him or something. So my sword didn't hit him. Like he just hit me instead, even though my sword was out. Like I didn't know that could happen. And then of course, since I missed the third hit, everything was chaos, and then I died.
Oh yeah, I mean it was unfortunate, but at least though you did finish it out, and so you did manage to get through it. So good. I mean, so amidst all of that though, you still had in my opinion, anyway, a really good time given everything that happened.
Yeah, I played okay from like Skull Woods through Mire. Like I saved 2 seconds from the end of Thieves to the end of Mire on my PB. But even the things I messed up, I was still frustrated with a lot of weird things I did. That like some of them weren't really big time losses, but just like really absent-minded things, like the Mummy hallway, for example. like I just like splashed an extra time at a mummy that I don't know why. And I was like, oh, well, I gotta do something. So luckily, I reacted to that and just fire routed all of them to, you know, clear a path.
Yeah,
I did a lot of little things like that.
Oh yeah, that was a good call, and I definitely understand what you're saying. That especially if there's a mistake early game, everything starts to compound, or at least it feels like it does. So
Yeah.
I understand your point there. But so even though unfortunately you may have lost here, not a huge deal though. You still get to play. You're moving into the losers bracket. I don't know where, but I'm gonna figure that out later. And I think though that would be it. So I guess that would. I don't know. Did you have any other questions to give them, Mouse?
No, I mean, no real questions. I think you covered, a lot of it. Yeah, really sorry about the town Ace. It's definitely not something that was fortunate. But otherwise, yeah, I think you actually, made a pretty good run, all things considered. Really was a great pleasure, watching both of you guys run. Some very excellent game play. You get a really nice victories fight, Ace, for sure. Just really a really great race to watch overall.
And so, yeah, I guess before we wrap this up, Ace, do you have anything to say to your adoring fans?
Not really. I mean, I'll do better next time. I promise, because I can definitely do better. This is the worst one I've had in the tourney, and I've been improving, and obviously the snowball effect is obviously evident with the late game deaths. But yeah, and just good luck to Chex going forward against Airy. That's a tough one to win.
Indeed. And then Chex, do you have anything to say to your adoring fan?
Did you say fan? As opposed to fans?
I don't know.
Are you talking
about.
like my ceiling fan? I don't understand the question.
Yeah, if you wanted to talk to your fan that I see above your webcam, what would you want to say to it?
Well, I'm still having fun playing A Link to the Past. No major glitches, so there's that. I'll probably be exhausted by the end of the tourney, but I'm still having fun with it, so I'm just going to keep going with it.
Okay, excellent. Get Chex out of here. He's got to do some hard logic rando race in about 10 minutes. But for everyone else, thank you so much. For everyone who stuck around, Mouse, thank you so much for your time and for actually requesting me, which is weird. And then VXR, we will come back to you, sir.
Okay, so looking at the bracket, Ace is going to play the winner of Tam versus Trinex. So that's it for us tonight. We do have another tomorrow. The only thing on the schedule is another NMG match. It'll be Foxlisk versus Nxian. So that will be it for us here. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.